Hello, everyone. Welcome to All Things Odd. I'm Dr. Natalie Phillips.
I'm Dr. Hannah Galloway.
And I'm Mary Kate, the resident.
We'll be a doctor in 2 weeks.
Almost. Okay, so we're going to go over the our YouTube channel real quick. Dr. Galloway, I don't know if you want to do that, and then I'm going to continue to keep sharing it out here.
All right, so you can see on Dr. Phillips' screen, we've got our YouTube. You can send videos from here, and you can also see the thumbnails of the videos and the different topics of them. We're going to be talking about an older episode today, so if you wanted to go look at that one, you can pull it up here and subscribe. We're getting more subscribers all the time, so you'll get a notification when we have a new show.
All right, so with that, I'm going to take this down and we have a cool show for you guys today, thanks to our resident looking it up because it's National Telephone Day. So super excited. We're going to put this little ticker on so that you guys know how to follow us. Okay. It's National Telephone Day, and it's the anniversary date that Alexander Graham Bell introduced his electric speaking machine. And actually, I have a picture of that. So let me see if I can get that shared here. And so you guys can see what it looks like. Yes. Okay, so that's what it looks like there. Okay, but did you know that Alexander Graham Bell was actually not the first person to introduce what we know as the telephone, but a person named Antonio Meucci, M-E-U-C-C-I, is often credited as creating his prototype of the telephone, which he called the Teletrofono. And it didn't convert sounds into electrical signals at the time like the modern phones, but Alexander Graham Bell, his telephone used sound transmission and was actually inspired, and this is another fun fact, by hearing loss, as his wife Mabel was deaf and his mother Eliza needed the help of a hearing trumpet. So just wanted to kind of go over some of those fun facts. But we're doing fun facts today because we have 3 generations here. So I am the Gen X. Dr.
I'm a millennial.
She's the millennial, and Mary Kate is the...
I'm a zillennial, I'll say, or Gen Z.
So she's Gen Z. So we have Gen X, a millennial, and we have Gen Z. So we're going to have some fun because my colleagues here do not know some of the fun facts I'm going to put up here because I wanted to kind of surprise them and also get their real live answers to a fun fact. Okay, so I have the fun fact here, and we're going to kind of go through just to see how the generations respond to this fun fact. Okay. So the first fun fact on National Telephone Day is the first phone greeting. So the first phone greeting was actually ahoy hoy, who's calling please, which is a commonly used nautical term, obviously with ahoy. And it's believed that Alexander Graham Bell answered his calls this way until the day that he died. And so with this fun fact of the first phone greeting being ahoy hoy, who's calling please, I wanted to ask my generational differences here of how you actually answer the phone. So how you actually answer the phone when maybe a professional call comes in, or like if you see somebody calling that's your friend. So I'll start off, then we'll kind of go over to Dr. Galloway, then we'll go over to Mary Kate. So as a Gen X, the way that I answer, let's see. So if I were going to do a professional phone call, obviously if I answered the phone here in the office, I'd be, hello, this is Audiology Center of Northern Colorado. Thanks for calling. This is Dr. Phillips. How can I help you? So that would probably be more of my professional answer. I wouldn't say ahoy hoy. And then if I were to call, like if I see my friend, usually now that we have cell phones and you can kind of see who's calling you, I probably would answer, hey, what's up? Or I would say, hey, first. So that's how I would answer. Okay, so that was from the Gen X. Now we'll go to the millennial, Dr. Galloway.
Yeah, so similarly to you, whenever I answered like the work phone, Audiology Center of Northern Colorado, I would say this is Hannah, because I don't want them to know that I'm the provider, because that might create a whole slew of other inquiries. So when I answer my cell phone, I just say hello. So I don't know. I guess that's generational difference, but I just say hello.
Okay, Mary Kate.
Same as you guys for my professional greeting. It's thanks for calling Audiology Center of Northern Colorado. This is Mary Kate. When one of my friends is calling, I'll usually pick up the phone and be like, sup losers? Like, hey, it's like super casual. My favorite is when I get a telemarketer, like a spam call, and I'm like nervous because I think they're going to steal my voice. So I pick up and I go, hello. And it's super aggressive. I'm like, can't steal my voice for that.
That's funny. Okay, so and Mary Kate, in kind of talking about today as being National Telephone Day, what's interesting is Mary Kate had walked around to us as well and asked something of us. So Mary Kate, you go ahead and explain to us what you asked us as well.
Yeah, so I had seen a video. I feel like I'm on like the older end of the Gen Zs, and then I think now they have like Gen Alpha. So I think it's mainly Gen Alpha that's doing this. But like when you pick up the phone or like when you're playing, like pretending on the phone, like I pick it up like this. How do you guys pick it up?
So she asked us, and we all did this. So think about like what generation are you and what do you do? So all of us did this. So from Gen X through Millennial through Gen Z through possibly is the next one Gen Alpha? Is that what you said?
I think so, yeah.
Okay. So we all kind of did this. Okay.
Yes, but then Gen Alpha or like younger kids these days, they go like this. Like they just put their whole hand up because they're just used to like a smartphone. And so
my toddlers do that. And I have seen, so she has a Play telephone that's like a corded, Fisher Price like telephone. And I was thinking about how she's never seen a phone that looks like that in her life. Like we don't have corded telephones anymore, yet that Fisher Price toy. And actually when she saw our office phone, she said something about it because it has like the curly cord. And that's the only phone she's ever seen with a cord that's not plugged into the wall. So, like unless you're charging your phone while you're on it, that's the only kind of phone like that she's seen. But even like her Play phones or cell phones, like Play cell phones.
Interesting. All right. Okay. So that going to the first phone greeting. Again, it's going from Ahoy Hoy, who's calling please to some of the things that we've talked about through the generations. Okay. So now we're going to go to fun fact 2. So fun fact 2 basically is that payphones still exist, people. So there are 100,000 payphones that still exist in the U.S., with 1/5 found in New York. And at their peak in the 1990s, there were roughly 2.5 million public payphones in the U.S. So now they're usually found in government locations, as well as post offices, public libraries, hospitals, high schools, workforce training centers. So my question to you guys are, how much do you think it costs to use a payphone? And have you ever used one? So yes, for me, I have used a payphone. And back in my day as a Gen X, it was 25 cents to use a payphone. So my question to the other generations is, how much do you think it costs to use a payphone? And have you ever used one?
Yes. So growing up, payphones were like a common thing, like at gas stations and like parks and stuff. But yes, I've used a payphone. When we called my dad from the public swimming pool, you had to use the payphone. And my favorite technique is to call collect, because that's what he taught me, that if it's ever an emergency, you just call collect. So I would call him collect, but I think it was 50 cents to call from the pool. That was the only place that I was like routinely using a payphone to call my parents to come pick me up.
Okay. What about you, Mary Kate?
I love that for you, first of all. I have never used a public or a payphone in my life.
So Mary Kate and I are 8 years apart, so like she's saying, she's like older she's like one of the older Gen Zs, and I'm not on the younger end of millennials, but it's interesting because even in the 8 years, there's been like such disparities. Like when I was growing up, there was payphones everywhere and that was normal. Mary Kate's never even used one. So it's crazy how much in 8 years something could change. And we're from the same region too. So we're both from the Midwest. But it's interesting to see how in just 8 years, like how tech changed.
Yeah.
Yeah. I've never used a payphone. I think like on TV, they say it's $1.25 to use a payphone.
They do?
I think so. Like that speaks to me, but I don't know.
Okay.
One time I called my mom from a hotel phone and you get charged for that, which was very jarring for me. We were doing like a slumber party for like a birthday, and I called my mom, and then checking out, we had a 70 cents charge for making a phone call. I was like, what the heck?
Yep, that's true. Like for most places, it's like a certain fee. It was a certain fee if you called like within a local area, but if you called
Long
long
distance.
distance, obviously it was more. I remember even having discussions with people that I had on the phone saying, "Wait, do you have long distance?" Or like I remember when I went to college, and I know we talked about other college things when we were getting ready for the show. Like when I went to college, like I had to have like a long distance plan. To make sure that I could call home, basically. So the answer for today, the going rate is currently about 50 cents for a local call, but additional costs are applied for calls to outside of the area codes. Now there are obviously like when you run into a payphone booth, when you find a payphone,
like where are you going to find one? Is really
no, if you find a payphone, obviously like if you have to do an emergency call like 911, that's no charge, things like that. But they still do cost when you actually use a payphone. And as long as it's local, it's 50 cents right now, unless it's outside of the area code. So yeah, I thought that was kind of interesting. All right.
So the price hasn't gone up for a phone call since I was at the swimming pool. Good to know.
Okay. All right. The last fun fact that we have for now is that the percentage of US adults who own a smartphone has increased. So yay for that. But my question, and it has increased since 2011, actually. So you would kind of think that, right? But my question to you guys just off the cuff is what percent do you think of US adults actually own a smartphone?
I'm going to say, oh my God, I was going to say 85.
Okay.
I mean, that's seeming right to me because we see a lot of patients. Are you including jitterbug smartphones?
Sure. Smartphones. Yep.
So I'd say like 85%. Yeah.
Okay. This is why I work with some of the smartest people because the answer is 85%. So that was 35% in 2011 and the highest percentage of more than 95% of Americans actually between the ages of 18 to 49 have a smartphone. But yes, US adults that own a smartphone is up and at 85%. So I think this is super important to talk about too, because we celebrate it because we actually in our profession, we work with hearing aids that can be connected to smartphones, right? So it's super exciting. It's something that it's not really new to us anymore that we can connect hearing aids to smartphones, but it makes like 85%, like for those of you that have hearing loss, like you should get in and get your hearing tested and get something that can help you hear better, but also can be used with your smartphones, right? So I think it's really interesting to talk about how high this rate is because we can help you hear better also on the phone, not just, on your everyday environments as well. So I loved that fact. All right. So with that, we are going to now kind of go through some of these other types of options for people with hearing loss. I'll probably have Mary Kate take the first one, and then I'll have Hannah take the second one, and then I'll talk about the last one. These are just some different options. And we do actually have another show that we covered with telephones and hearing loss. So I'm going to put in the comments while Mary Kate is talking some of our other shows that we have covered this. So if you want to go back and look at this, you can. So this is this is the first option that we have if you have a hearing loss to be able to use your telephone.
Yeah, so we have a couple of different options. The big thing is getting captions, so seeing like the visual representation of what's being said. The first thing is a caption telephone. So you can actually get a landline that has captions like on a screen. And so we work with CapTel. That's the company we work with most. And so what you can do is anyone who has hearing loss qualifies. It's free. Someone actually comes in and installs it. You just need to have landline capability and internet capability, but it functions as a phone, like a landline. So it has the part that you hold up to your ear. It has the pad. And it has a big screen, and the screen will pop up the words as you and the other person are talking. And it's cool too, because you can change like the font, the size, the color. So if we have like some vision issues as well, we can definitely make some accommodations to help with that. But then you can just kind of see it right in front of you. And that definitely helps just understanding what's being said. The second option is for your cell phone or your smartphone. So iPhones and Androids both have different options. On like FaceTime or whatever the FaceTime equivalent is for Androids, you can actually select like a live caption button in the phone call. or in like the FaceTime, and it'll just kind of pop it up right at the bottom, which I think is super cool. There's also a couple of apps that you can download. So if you wanted to, then like you can just like if we're in a meeting, you can just have your phone in front of you and it'll just pick everything up in the meeting. And so for Apple users, that is going to be the Captions app or SubCap. Either of those apps are going to work well for you. So here's the CapTel. That's kind of what that guy looks like. And you can see the screen and everything on there. It's pretty big. We do have one in the office as well. So if you want to, you can come and check ours out at the office and see what it looks like.
And they do get really loud too. They're amplified telephones as well. So for people with, obviously hearing issues, but visual issues too, I feel like they've done a good job trying to make it, easier for people to use.
Yeah, that's nice that it's amplified too. And I just think the fact that it's free, like that's a really nice option. But going back to the app, so you can download Captions or SubCap for Apple users. And then for Android users, it's Ava, or there's a live caption option like in the settings that you can do. And it just will kind of read them all as you're going throughout the conversation. So both of those are great options just to kind of have on standby. Like if you're nervous about going to a busy meeting, like definitely download one of these apps, and that just kind of helps you parse through what's being said and just do a little bit better in those busy environments.
Yeah, that's awesome.
So that's it for Captions.
Okay.
Sorry, I'm pulling up another picture for Hannah. All right, so we're going to go to the second option here.
Okay, so TTY is the next one. This is actually generationally interesting too, because I had never heard of this until I was working in a speech and audiology clinic. And so it's actually like a relay service where there is someone else on the phone. Natalie, you can probably speak better to like how long this has existed or how long when this got popular. Because by the time I got into the profession, it was kind of getting replaced by these other like caption services. But essentially it was a TTY relay service where there was another person on the phone transcribing what was said. And so there was a delay too. I took one call at the UNC Speech and Audiology Clinic through a relay service, and I learned a lot about it because you just have to wait there really awkwardly for a very long time, and you can hear somebody like typing, and then it's just a very slow process compared to, like captioning now. It's just all pretty immediate. But that's really all the details that I know about a TTY phone. And I have had one TTY phone call.
Yeah, this is something that you can probably have at home, but like what you're talking about is the operator. So like I had to make these phone calls, and yes, it is very awkward because there is kind of a different lingo to this. And so like if you're working with an operator, so let's say Hannah is my patient and I am trying to talk to her, but she's got a hearing loss. And so she's sitting at home and there's an operator in between us. And so like I would have to talk out what I wanted to say. And then so that the operator knew that I was done, I would have to, I think it was stop. I would just say stop, or GA, which means go ahead. And so that means that she knows that I'm done and she can go ahead and type or whatever. And it's the same thing. So there's definitely that lingo, but then there is that awkward silence of like, okay, now she's typing. So now I have to wait and make sure that I still keep paying attention. So that way, in case that she has a question, or maybe the person is going to type back to her, then she ends up reading back what it is to me. So if I didn't have one of these in the office back in the day, then I'd have to call into an operator who would then get on her TTY and then text over to the person that I was trying to have a phone conversation with. So it's a little awkward, but
so roundabout.
What's that?
It's just so round, like it just seems so inefficient at this point, but I get why that was very efficient at one point.
Yeah. So that's another option. And I did post in our comments to our last show that we talked about some of these different things as well. So it's on our YouTube channel as well. And then the last thing that I wanted to bring up, because I also talked about it this week with a patient, is Sonic Cloud. And so I'm going to have to post that other I'll post that other link here, but we actually had Larry Guterman on, and he talked about Sonic Cloud. And what's interesting about this is that, you can set up multiple profiles. So I'm putting in our comments right now the post of our YouTube So that way you guys can kind of go back and watch about Sonic Cloud as well. But Sonic Cloud is really cool because Larry Guterman is a former Hollywood producer, and he had helped create Sonic Cloud. And it is an app that you can download on your phone or your computer, and you can set up different listening profiles depending on how you're listening to what's coming through. So, for example, for me as a hearing person, I could go to Sonic Cloud and I could take a small little mini hearing test, and then it walks through my different preferences of how I want sounds to sound like. And I could set up a listening profile for when I stream through my AirPods, and I could set up a listening profile for when I'm watching just off of my computer or whatever it is. Or if I had another device, I could also set up another listening profile. And so it's basically what I would be listening through. And so I had 2 conversations this week about Sonic Cloud, and it was with people that had a hearing loss. And I said, go ahead and go to Sonic Cloud and try to make a listening profile through your hearing aids. And then if you're watching something, you just don't want to listen, have your hearing aids on for some reason, and you're kind of lying in bed and whatever, then make another listening profile for maybe because you took your hearing aids out or your cochlear implant off or whatever it is, and make another listening profile. And so the Sonic Cloud basically allows you to make these different listening profiles based on what you're wearing to be able to stream through that, which I think is kind of cool. So I wanted to bring that up again. I will put the website up, but I did share the episode where we did talk to Larry Guterman, and we talked about and learned more about Sonic Cloud. So that's another really cool option for people with hearing loss that you can use. Yes. And he's got a severe to profound hearing loss, and he took a phone call, and that's what brought us to this kind of attaching it to even phone calls too, in having that conversation. So, he has a severe to profound hearing loss, and he is able to have a phone call because he set up his listening profile through his hearing aids, which is really kind of cool. So with that, we wanted to celebrate National Telephone Day today with some fun and some facts. Hopefully this was helpful for you guys. Next week, I can actually leak out that we do have a special guest. So come back next week because Dr. Galloway and Mary Kate are going to actually be in, is it cochlear implant surgery or is it training? Training. Okay. So they will be in training, but I will have a guest on. So you do not want to miss next week's episode. We're so glad that you guys are able to join in and share this out for anybody that you think might be helped with some of the information. So thanks, guys.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Yeah.